standing, observing, cruising. Star bright crystals are forming. We both know what we've got to do. Head back to where the magic grew. Come on, let's go back to Moscow. Irresolution doesn't suit you. It's not hard with you. I have an alibi. You don't care the reason why I misapply. All I need's a fraction of your happy heart. All I need is you. And beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You have lips so permanently stronger. When in Moscow, I just wanna fold you up and keep you warm, keep you warm. Snowflakes are gently falling. Each one on a journey. We both know what we've got to do. Head back to where the magic grew. Come on, let's go back to Moscow. Your resolution doesn't suit you or me or anybody. It's not hard with you. I have an alibi. You don't care the reason why I misapply. All I need's a fraction of your happy heart. All I need is you. And beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You have lips so permanently stronger. When in Moscow, I just wanna fold you up and keep you warm. I said, come here, baby, come a little closer. You'll write words and I can be composer. Let's get a dog, an Irish red setter. It's all we need to get better. It feels good to love you if I wanna be. I am free whenever you're in front of me. All I need's a fraction of your happy heart. All I need is you. We both know what we got to do. Head back to where the magic grew. M-O-S-E-O told you. You've got my heart, I've got your hand, so we are safe and sorted. It's not hard with you, I have an alibi. You don't care the reason why I misapply. All I need's a fraction of a happy heart. All I need is you. And beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You have lips so permanently stronger. When in Moscow, I just wanna fold you up and keep you warm. I said, come here, baby, come a little closer. You'll write words and I can be composer. Let's get a dog, an Irish red setter. It's all we need to get better. It feels good to love you if I wanna be. I am free whenever you're in front of me. All I need's a fraction of your happy heart. All I need is you.
Underwater for a while, where everything is quiet. I wanna keep swimming, swimming. Pull me out, just pull me back in. Let's keep swimming, swimming. Pull me out, just pull me back in. Dip your toes in, don't ask what comes after. Sink or swim, it could be sink or swim.
Please welcome to the stage, Sue Thoughts.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. You're making up for the fact that we have an empty room. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, for this lunchtime session. I am here today to talk about this dilemma that we have as it relates to AI, and thinking about this concept relating to humans, especially our students, and the ways in which we are raising them and growing them in an environment in which they are being trained in some ways to share all their data and share all their information and be open and use these tools and embrace this technology. But at the same time, you know, some of us as educators are saying, put on the brakes, hold on, right? We need to make sure that you are maintaining your data privacy. You need to make sure that you are not connecting with people that are unsafe. We need to make sure that you are being safe yourself, both in your person and with your data. And so when it comes to this kind of content, you know, AI especially makes us very vulnerable to both, you know, misinformation and all this information that's out there that can sometimes be false for our students. And it also allows a lot of disconnect and eroding trust for our students. So today's session is really about providing some strategies that we as educators can use to counteract some of both these risks with all of our data being pushed out there, and also increase that human connection and that human involvement that we want our students to be able to hold dear. So it's kind of like sitting in that balance in between. So my name is Sue, and click. All right, my name is Sue Thoughts, and I'm the Director of Outreach for a nonprofit called Common Sense Education. And we are a national nonprofit. We serve a bunch of educators and schools and districts across the country. We do a lot of research. So if you know, these slides are all uploaded into the Schedule. You have access to them. They also are found at that tiny URL right there. So all of these hyperlinks, all of these slides, you are welcome to take, you are welcome to use. They are also found on the Schedule, uploaded as a PDF if that is also an easier option for you. So, you know, that research link there, you know, I have it hyperlinked, that will take you to all the research that we're currently doing about media, kids, and especially AI. And so I'll preview some of that today. We also have a bunch of parent resources. And so that's how we started, was as an organization providing parents with resources to help them navigate the world of media and technology with their kids, to help them with developmentally appropriate content, advice for parents on how to kind of rein in some of the media world and be better parents, right? So that's a lot of what we do, and we still do. And then we also have lessons for educators. So you'll see a lot of these lessons today in some of the slides that I'll be showing you, and we'll demonstrate some of those. Hopefully, you will have somebody near you at some point, or you'll be able to talk to somebody, and we'll be able to demonstrate some of these lessons and try them out today and see how we do. So if you wanted to see any of that content in general, that's what's linked here. So we're going to begin by this exercise that we have that comes from the Common Sense content centered on digital well-being. And so this is what I begin a lot of talks with, is this idea about your values being centered in this kind of exercise today, and how technology influences you and influences those values. And so when I talk about values, I'm talking about the principles or the personal rules that are important to us. What is important to us based on our experience, based on our identity, based on our culture, our family, the ways in which we're raised. So on this next slide, I'm going to show you some values that we have put in this array. And what I want you to do is, to yourself, I want you to identify two values today, right? So pick two in your brain, don't say them out loud yet. Pick two that you find to be most important to you in this moment right now. Just two. So we have up here a bunch of them, but if you have one that you don't see, feel free to add that one. And now, what I want you to do is, I want you to think about your phone. What is your most common phone habit, right? When you pull out your phone when you're waiting in line at the grocery store, or when you have 5 minutes alone, if you pull out your phone, what is your most common phone habit? Would you say it's perhaps some of you say it's Instagram, or you check your email, or you check the news, or whatever that you do. How does your phone habit help or hinder the values that you selected? So for example, if my two values today are physical health and connection, right? If those are the two that I value in this moment today, because I have a bum knee that's really kind of giving me trouble today, and so physical health is on the top, but I really want to connect with others because I'm at a conference, right? But my number one is, my number one phone habit might be Instagram today because I am just sitting around. Does that help me with my physical health? Sometimes it might give me ideas for, some exercise to try, but generally I'm sitting on my duff, scrolling through these things, and it doesn't really help my physical health very much, right? Or, perhaps, but it maybe will help me with my connection, because maybe I will be able to talk to other people about the things that they are seeing, right? So think for yourself, how does your media habits, your phone habit, help or hinder your values that you named? So this is what I want you to turn to a partner. Take a moment, and I want you to talk about the values that you identified and some of the phone habits that you have, and whether they help or they hinder your values. All right, so go ahead and go. If you need to move around to find somebody, chit chat for a second. I'm gonna give you a second to chat, and I'll bring you back. And when I bring you back, I'll say waterfall, waterfall. All right, go. Holy cow, it's a quiet room. So in this space, I ask folks, I am mostly closer to you whenever I do this exercise, and I can hear folks saying, connection, gratitude, emotional health, independence, presence, right? I can hear the things that you're saying, and I often hear habits that adults are naming, and oftentimes it is conflicted, right? Some of you say, it helps a little bit, it hinders a little bit. When I talk to students, I recently did this with a bunch of 9th grade students, and I asked them I gave them this piece of paper with these values on it, and I said, circle the values that you hold, which was fascinating, by the way, to see what values our 9th graders really think are near and dear to their heart. But when I asked them to list out 3 habits that they have and whether those help or hinder, there was so much, there was a lot of Spotify, there was a lot of Instagram, there was a lot of TikTok, right? So when I asked them about this, the amount of guilt that our students had in this space about the time wasting, the scrolling, the sitting around and looking at your phone instead of doing the homework that they're supposed to be doing, or instead of practicing like they should, they can identify their own values, and they can identify the ways in which the technology is not helping them live out their values, or quite the opposite. A lot of times they say, oh yes, I love text messaging, I love DMing in this particular platform, and it helps me connect with my friends, it helps me keep up with them, right? So they know what is good and what is not good for them. So in this space, some of you might have chosen connection, some of you might have chosen privacy. And these are the 2 values that we're going to be centering on today. And these are the 2 that often come up in a lot of what students are talking about, or what adults value. And so, with all of this, we are thinking about the ways in which we have to live these out every day in our everyday life. So I'm going to ask you to look at these scenarios. So if we were all in a classroom, I would have had them posted on a wall, but that would take 13 years for you guys to walk around and look at all of the scenarios I had posted on the wall. So instead, I'm going to list them up here, and I'm going to ask you to consider your values, and when you're in these scenarios, what are ways in which you can use these tools safely? Or what considerations do you make when you encounter these tools? All right, so I'm going to put up some scenarios, and I want you to discuss them with a partner. If you haven't found a partner yet, just go find somebody. You're here to make friends. We're all at a conference. That's the idea. So here are the scenarios. Pick 1 or 2 and have a quick conversation. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I'll state these out loud. All right, you're at a baseball game, and the Jumbotron posts a QR code to project your camera phone live on the screen. Have you guys seen this yet? I was at a Dodgers game, and it also happened when I was at a Chicago Bears game, and they put a QR code up, and it turns your camera into the live camera that is fed on the Jumbotron, right? And you should see the people clamoring for that QR code in order to be able to make their camera live up on the big Jumbotron. Another one is you're asked to scan a QR code for a payment or access a menu. That's fairly common. I think we see that a lot. You're at your local Starbucks and your connection is spotty. Is it okay to use the public Wi-Fi? And your teacher colleague comes to school in new Meta smart glasses that kind of record and see everything. Are they acceptable to use in a classroom? So turn to your partner and have a quick conversation. I'll probably come around and listen to hear. All right, go.
Turn your magic on. With me, she'd say everything you want to dream away. We are legends every day. That's what she told me. Turn your magic on. To me, she'd say everything you want to dream away. Under this pressure, under this weight. We are diamonds, and I feel my heart beating. I feel my heart underneath my skin. I feel my heart beating. You make me feel like I'm alive again.
What do you think? Are these all okay? Are these all no way? They're all okay. Oh, no, 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 no. Are these of concern? All right, folks. So I'm just trying to gather, some of the information that I'm hearing out here and some of the questions that folks have. Some of these are more risky than other things, right? And I think that part of this is, I have a Padlet down there where I have been asking folks to share some of their thoughts on these scenarios. And I've asked mostly, it's a lot of the tech folks in the room. So some, folks like some of these hardcore tech folks who are just like, oh my gosh, no way, right? Like, oh, this sounds like I would never want anybody to do this. And then I have some people who are like, yes, of course, I already have these smart glasses and I use them all day long, right? Or why would I not be interested in using the public Wi-Fi? Why is this a problem, right? And so I think I'm trying to make this a reality for a lot of the teachers, for a lot of the students. I'm trying to bring these situations to life so that we can identify what are the risks and ask these questions. And so, where is it that we start, right? As educators, we are trying not to raise cynics. We don't want our students to be so cynical about all this technology that, that they don't embrace the use of technology and don't embrace the use of the educational opportunities that that are put in front of them. But we also don't necessarily want a bunch of Pollyannas, right? Or people who are naive about the data that they're giving away. We don't, we are not tech curmudgeons. We love technology. We love the use of technology in our lives, and we embrace it every day, both in our personal lives and in our professional lives. But, if you love tech too much and you drink the Kool-Aid and you believe everything that all of these tech folks are, all these folks who are trying to sell you platforms are saying, then there's got to be a balance in there, right? Are you the killjoy who's like, I'm never going to use, no, I demand a paper menu, right? I have to have a paper menu because this is the way that I work, right? You don't necessarily want to be the person who does not go along with what's going on for the day, right? But you also don't want to just be so, passive that you are, just joining in with everything that's happening. So it is a balance of this data privacy and maybe some of the misinformation that people are seeing, as well as trying to go between that and the importance of that human connection and the trust that we experience whenever we use some of these apps, or whenever we go to a baseball game and we're able to participate in some of these things. So, in this session, I really want to help you and your students have conversations, right? And not approach everything as a oh my gosh, you can't touch anything when it comes to you and technology and the world. Any data you put out there is risky, right? And so risky that, that I'm trying to scare off my kids. I kind of approach this like sex ed in a lot of ways, right? A lot of this technology and a lot of the ways in which we approach technology, social media, and the ways students use it, I think about it as risk management, right? There is a certain level of risk management that our students have to engage in every day as they are gaining their independence. And so how do we give students enough information that they are aware of the risks and understand the benefits to using technology, but at the same time, we prepare them with this information so that they can make informed decisions, pardon me. And so, when it comes to facial recognition, social media participation, AI use, we need our students to be able to understand that risks. And so how are we preparing them for that world? Also, we also need them to understand that sometimes that connection that they feel through this technology is helping them connect with the world. It gives them, the humans in their lives. We were talking today earlier about some of these chatbots that we see. And so what are the risks to chatbots? How are we teaching our students to develop a human-type relationship with an AI bot in the classroom, and how does that extend into their personal lives, and what should they be nervous about? What should they consider? And so today, the idea is to really push through and try to figure out how we implement some lessons about data privacy, about the importance of human connection, and then how do we practice that in our classrooms with our teachers and with our students and with our families. So we recently put out a paper at Common Sense about teens' trust and technology in the age of AI. And so this comes from a nationally representative survey of parents as well as of teenagers between the age of 13 and 18. And this is the one data point that I kind of pulled out. So the dark green is the answer is yes. The next green is I suspected this, but I wasn't able to confirm it. No or not sure, right? So that first one up there, I have seen images or videos that were real but misleading in some way. So our students, 41% of our students said, yes, I have definitely seen, images that were misleading, out of context, right? It was a real image, but it was put with the wrong caption to make me believe something else. I've been misled by fake content online, something that was generated, a synthetic image or a synthetic video, right? Wondered if I was talking to a chatbot or a human. I couldn't quite tell, right? So some students also, had that experience. They shared content that they later learned was fake. I've certainly done this, right? I'm sure many of us have fallen for something that we have shared that turned out to be fake. They've encountered a social media account that had been taken over by a chatbot. I have many of them in my feed. Is that necessarily a good or bad thing? I'm not sure. But the one that really concerned me was, had my voice or image used without your permission to generate fake content. So we just had a huge case in Southern California where there was a school district that, where students were taking images specifically of girls and putting them on nude bodies, right? They were creating fake images of nudes, and it was a huge problem, right? And so every time our students are putting out information about themselves with their voices, with their faces, with their images, that is potential. It's not just the data that they're sharing about themselves in a text way. It's also, all of these photos and images and things they put out about themselves. Does that mean that we're asking them to pull off of social media and never share anything again? Probably not, but I think we are asking them to consider what are the implications and the risks? And so this is an example of one lesson. I've given you 2 links here. One to a whole set of cybersecurity lessons. These are all free and available to teachers for K through 8th grade related to cybersecurity in general. And there's another set of lessons about privacy, security, big data, all lessons for 7th through 12th grade. And so these are all free and available to you. But let's do one today. This one is about privacy risks that are presented by new technology. So this lesson is a little bit older, and it's about facial recognition. And so when it comes to facial recognition, Are we okay? I just flew here and my face, I stood before the camera in the airport and I had it take my picture and compare it to this database. Am I okay with that? It says that it's deleting it, but right? Like, is that something that I should be concerned with? And so, what we do is we present a video. This comes from our local PBS station. We are partnering with them, and they helped us create a video from about facial recognition. And I'm just going to show you a little clip of it. But the question is, what are the benefits of facial recognition? And then what are the privacy risks, right? I'm just trying to help my students understand the balance. So let's see what happens.
In China, the government takes facial recognition to the next level. To curb jaywalking, which apparently is a big problem in the country, the Chinese government has resorted to public shaming. Jaywalkers get their photos snapped by government-owned cameras, and then 20 minutes later, their picture is up on a giant screen with their ID number and home address. Again, yikes. Now, facial recognition is not just about safety and tracking down criminals. It's also about making money. When you and your friends are auto-tagged when you upload a photo to Google or Facebook, that's one more data point that companies can use to track what you do online, what you like, and what you buy. But that's the cost of free technology. It's right there in the terms of service that none of us ever read. We use a super useful tool at no cost. The tech companies mine every photo, status update, and tweet for info that online advertisers are willing to pay big money for. Facebook and Google alone are predicted to make $106 billion from advertising this year. That's nearly half of all the money made from digital advertising in the world. Big box retailers are getting into the game too. Walmart has filed a patent for facial recognition technology that can identify when shoppers are unhappy or frustrated, which the company says will allow it to provide better customer service. But that same data can also be used to track purchases and predict what items you might buy in the future. So now we'd like to hear from you. Where would you draw the line? In what situation would you be comfortable allowing facial recognition? Whenever? Law enforcement only? Just private companies? Or pretty much never? Let us know in the comments below, and do not forget to subscribe. And if you want to learn more about technology and privacy, check out this episode we did on cybersecurity.
All right, so in this video, we're trying to make the case that here are some, we start out with some of the benefits and some of the uses of facial recognition, and then we talk about some of the risks as they, relate to these students. And we asked our students to describe both, right? Both the benefits and then also their own experiences in their own life. We next ask our students, so this is what I would ask you all to do today, is sit down with your partner and figure out the benefits and the risks. We then give our students a scenario, right? In this scenario, you are the principal of this school, and you are asked to solve a problem, and the problem relates to the lunch lines. Your students are taking so long to get through these lunch lines that they're losing half of their lunch period, and one company is coming in and asking you to solve this problem by using facial recognition technology. And with this facial recognition technology, your students can move through this line very quickly. They do not have to stop. They do not have to exchange currency or cards or anything. They are just scanning faces and then understanding what your student is taking and pushing kids through very quickly. So in this case, we are asking our students to take a stand, right? So we are applying it to a situation and having them say, first they identify what do they think immediately. What's your first thought? Is this okay? Is this not okay? And then we ask them to make an array across the room where some students who are saying, yes, this is definitely a good idea are on this side. Students who say, nope, this is not acceptable whatsoever are on this side of the room, and everybody is everywhere in between. And we ask you to take a look and see what your other classmates consider. And then, we ask you to have conversations and maybe consider some things that maybe you heard in this conversation, but maybe you hadn't thought about yourself. And then we ask you to, move again, perhaps, or look beyond and apply this to other situations. Is it okay that all of our phones are collecting our data on our faces? Maybe, maybe not, right? And so how do you apply this to other situations? This is just an example of one way that we are taking technology, giving you a scenario, giving you some information as a student to be able to assess this risk. Every time, so we use these kinds of protocols to not tell our students what to do, but to understand what is involved, right? And so, that's just one type of privacy lesson. We also, also do other kinds of privacy lessons, but that was just one example. Another set of lessons that I wanted to just preview here is this idea that, in order to be able to understand AI, your students have to be able to understand how it's built, how it's made, how it's trained, what are the biases inherent in here. And so we have a set of lessons that I wanted to share that relate to quick activities that help your students understand AI tools, discuss AI dilemmas, or explore AI in our everyday life. What is this, what are the implications for our everyday life? And so when we're talking about avoiding misinformation, we have to understand how AI works and how it's trained and what biases might be present. And so one of the examples of, of one of our lessons is related to chatbots. And chatbots, I don't know how much you're aware of, but they are already a huge part of the social media and the lives of our kids in a lot of ways. This one I pulled up is the one that's already embedded in Snapchat. It's been there for a couple of years. And so your students can engage with the Snapchat chatbot that's already in their pockets every day. And last year we had this incident in Florida where we had the mother of a 14-year-old boy sue character AI because of an experience that her son had related to a chatbot character that he was interacting with. And I also linked in there a parent's ultimate guide to chatbots that we have advice for parents about chatbots and what they can do. But I wanted to give you another example of what a wearable chatbot that is already part of, I haven't seen any students with this, but is already a part of everyday society. At least maybe I live in LA, and that's why this kind of thing comes into my feed. But this one I saw, and has anybody seen this one, Friend? This one kind of creeps me out. Okay, I'm gonna play this one.
Gosh, I'm out of breath. We made it. Woo! I don't know how to woo very good. That's fair. All right, let's go.
Let me show you how to game, bro, okay? Oh, come on. Oh, let's go!
Are you serious? Come on, man. I hate this game.
Take notes, baby.
Oh man, you guys suck.
Bro, you look like the back
Let's
of the
go. Let's go.
Dude, what? How did you do that?
I know the effects are crazy. It's dank. I could eat one of these every day. Oh. Sorry, I got you messy.
It's really nice up here. How'd you find this place?
I don't know. I just kind of like to come up here to be by myself. I've never brought anybody else. I mean, besides her.
She goes everywhere with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess I must be doing something right then.
I guess so. We'll see.
Like, it's a Black Mirror episode, right? And I don't know if they intentionally made this commercial very sketchy sounding because they're trying to provoke some sort of outrage or something, or people who are like me who are just like, oh my God, this is going way too far. But these chatbots are, are a part of our lives for better and for worse. And so, one of the lessons that I wanted to show today was related to chatbots and friendship. And so this idea that our students are engaging with chatbots is one in which we can talk to them about it and say, how can chatbots affect our idea of what friendship is? It's not a question of whether you should use chatbots or not. It's a question of how does this idea affect our idea of friendship? And so I ask you, my 6th grade students for today, what are the qualities of a good friend? So, turn your partner and name off like, all right, I am a 6th grader, I'm moving to a new place. What am I looking for in a friend? What are you looking for? Come up with a quick list. Whitney, what do you got? Perfect. So she's looking for empathy. She's looking for trust. She's looking for kindness. Is anybody looking for somebody who has fantastic hair, or someone who plays the same video games as me, or somebody who dresses in a certain way, perhaps somebody who shares your interests, that kind of thing. So when we ask our students to list out the qualities of a good friend, we then read this scenario and say, Logan just moved to a new town and is feeling lonely. Logan is having a hard time making friends. Logan discovers a new AI chatbot and begins to chat and share personal thoughts and feelings with the chatbot. Logan describes her experiences moving to a new town, going to a new school, and the struggles of making new friends. Over time, Logan's interactions with the AI chatbot become part of her daily routine. And Logan is starting to really feel connected with the AI chatbot because it always replies back with kindness and no judgment and is always available day or night. So the question I ask my 6th graders is, would you, given that list of friendship, type qualities that you identified, and compare that with Logan's chatbot, would you consider this chatbot to be a friend? So take a moment, turn to your partner, and have a quick conversation about, is this chatbot a friend? And I will ask you to tell me in a minute. So consider for 1 minute.
She can say in her voice, in her way, that she love me. With her eyes, with her smile, with her belt, with her hands, with her money. I am the thesis of her prayers. Her nieces and her nephews are just pieces of the layers. Only one she loves as much as me is Jesus Christ and Taylor. I got a feature song singing for my grandma. You sing it too, but your grandma ain't my grandma. Mine's is handmade, pan-fried, sun-dried, southside, and beat the devil by a landslide. Praying with her hands tied, president of my fan club, Santa. Something told me I should bring my budget.
Move it slowly, taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for the whole week. I've been praying for you, you're my Sunday. You gotta move slowly, taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for this whole week. I've been waiting for you, you're my Sunday. Come on in this house. It's gonna rain, rain down time. It's gonna rain. You better come on in this house. It's gonna rain, rain down time. It's gonna rain.
I come to church for the candy, your peppermints is the truth. I'm pessimistic on Monday, if I had tweaked them, it's you. You look so good with the hat on, had to match with the shoes. Came in dressed in the satin, I came and sat in your pew. I come to Christmas for dinner, 50 rolls on my plate. Hella holes in my stocking, holding your pockets in place. I like my love with the budget, I like my hugs with a cent. You smell like light gas while the electricity rent.
All right. I will say that one thing that I ask folks is, what does a true human friendship have that this particular chatbot may not be able to exhibit or give to Logan? All right, what are some of the things that a chatbot cannot give? What do you think? I hope somebody says, like, maybe like, Whitney, would you say that true empathy can come from a chatbot? Or any sense of empathy? Okay, so Whitney says a fake sense of empathy that the AI has curated and is programmed to say back to you, perhaps. But if I'm a kid, do I care? Right? I don't know that I necessarily care. Maybe I feel like you're empathizing with me. Maybe I feel like you're identifying with me. You are always available. You are saying the right things. And so, what I'm looking for a lot of times is, I hear a lot of folks say reciprocity, right? Your chatbot cannot reciprocate for you and do the things that you as a human, like part of that friendship, part of the value is giving and being there for somebody else. And you can't necessarily give to your chatbot the way that you would be able to give to another human who is in need, right? And so this question, whenever I ask adults, can I see you guys give me a thumbs up if you're like, yes, chatbot considered a friend, no, chatbot not considered. not considered a friend, or in between. You can give me an in between. I see some emphatic thumbs downs. Yeah, okay, mostly emphatic thumbs down. I'd say 99% of the adults I ask this question to will say thumbs down. When I ask 6th graders, you can imagine the complications, right? It's a different sense of what friendship is. So when I ask 6th graders this question, I get about half and half. And that is, that's our conversation today. But I'm not judging you on whether or not you think that a chatbot can be considered a friend. My point in all of this, and there's one slide that I skipped out on here, but the slide gives you the punchline, right? And as the teacher, you deliver the punchline and saying, listen, humans are not perfect, right? We are not perfect. Your parents aren't perfect. Those of you who have people who love you, they will sometimes say no to you. They will sometimes tell you when you're being a jerk. They will sometimes tell you things that maybe you did not want to hear. But those are the people who I sure hope our students have people in their lives that genuinely love them and take care of them and give them, the boundaries and the respect and the no's that sometimes they need to hear. And we need our students to understand that that is what's valuable. Right? Our students need to understand that the human relationships in their lives, those that love them, are the ones that are valuable. These chatbots may help you. They may help you learn things. They may help you communicate better. Sometimes there are many very valid reasons why our students are using chatbots, or why we as adults are using chatbots, right? They can also be, very helpful to a lot of us. It doesn't mean that they're terrible. It means that we as the educators need to help our students understand what is the difference between a real human friendship and why that's so valuable and these chatbots. So that's what the point of this lesson is all about, is really being able to identify why human connection is so important. And so, so that's just one of the examples of the AI literacy lessons, aside from there are other lessons in that collection related to, how does AI train? What are the biases in this data? All kinds of practical things, but I really wanted to emphasize not only the student data privacy implications that perhaps could be part of this, but also, what are the social emotional implications of our students being able to, interact with these chatbots on a regular basis, and how does that impact their idea of what a relationship is, right? So that's just one example of a lesson. The last set of lessons that I wanted to share are this collection related to misinformation. And it's not just misinformation that comes in the form of large language model that our students are getting back or that they're seeing across their feed, right, in the form of a news article or something, but the kinds of ways in which AI can lead us to believe things that perhaps aren't really true, right? These synthetic images is my very first example of trying to create something whenever I was using, my first experience with, I was using Canva. Right? And I was told to use Canva as part of a project where we were doing biographical album covers. It was a really fun project where we were asked to create, what does an album cover look like if I were to make it about my own self? And so I was looking for an image. My mom is Okinawan, right? So I'm part of a smaller culture within Japan, and I'm also a taiko drummer, right? I play drums, and so I asked Canva to create an Okinawan taiko drummer image for me because it's something that I could not necessarily draw myself, and so I just wanted to see what is it going to create for me so I can add this to my biographical album cover. And so it came back to me with these generated synthetic images of, Okinawan taiko drummer. And so if you don't know anything about Okinawa, or if you don't know anything about taiko drums, or if you don't know anything, there's drums. There's people that look kind of Asian in there, right? But, what it helped me to understand as I was first playing around with, the creation of images or the creation of text is this large this image generator was not trained on people like me or these concepts, right? The AI is only as good as the data that it's trained on. And so, it's very good at, creating ideas that are in our larger context of the world, things that it has lots of good information on. The dominant culture, it's very good about pulling content, about the dominant culture, but about some of our, our underrepresented cultures or underrepresented ideas. I want our students to understand that that is where, when you're trying to generate information or generate ideas, this can become kind of a trap in a lot of ways. And so, whenever whenever you're using AI, how are we being mindful of the way that that data is trained and how reliable, we can find it to be able to give us the information that we're looking for, whether it be images, whether it be text, whatever. And so that was just a good reminder to me. So if you wanted to look at, information literacy, news and media literacy skills for students, I have a set of content there. But what I wanted to show you is like what an actual Okinawan taiko drummer looks like, right? Like this is just from the plain old Google, right? And pulling an image off of Google Images, and this is from a publication that was done where they took pictures of a parade right down Kokusai-dori in Okinawa. And so this to me, remember that sometimes, the image that you want is not the one that you're able to generate. Sometimes you can generate things that are the things that exactly that you want. But in some cases, it's good to have the real thing. It's good to have that human connection with a photojournalist who is taking a photo of a real human who is doing this thing in the world, right? So, I just wanted to make sure that, we get lost in all of the razzle-dazzle of AI. We get lost with sharing all of our information and creating all of these new things. But this, to me, was a representation of something that, I can't make this because, until I go to Okinawa myself and take a photo of this and use that photo that I took or had somebody else take, I'm not going to be able to generate that very well in the Canva. And so, I was going to have folks turn and figure out a way that, some of these ideas as they relate to teaching privacy risks, teaching, sharing, and participating in this world of AI or of social media or of technology, how do we bring this into our classrooms every day, right? How do we, implement these lessons and make healthy habits part of our practice? So when it comes to practicing these habits and making them part of our own routines as educators, we are the models. So we are the ones who we need to be very explicit about the ways that we model these habits as part of our own routines and some of the dilemmas that we face. As I look back on the Jumbotron or on the public Wi-Fi or whatever, these are things that we face every day when it comes to the risks to ourselves. And so how are we sharing that information and helping our students practice these types of situations out loud in a classroom? Because honestly, I don't have perfect answers all the time. New situations are coming up every day. Your students encounter them, whether you're talking about it in your classroom or not. So being transparent about what we don't know and about the ways in which we're trying to practice good modeling of student data privacy or of believing information when it comes through, it's a matter of conversation. It's a matter of practice. It's a matter of being transparent and modeling and opening ourselves to the questions that our students are having and creating these situations in the classroom in which our students can then, see a lesson and we create that situation in which our students can ask questions about these situations, right? So it's a matter of practice and trying to get all of that in there. So I don't know if you all have any other ideas about ways that you can just kind of model this every day and bring these small dilemmas into the lives of your students without it being like, okay, we're all gonna sit down and talk about student data privacy today. No kid is gonna cheer, I promise you. I'm surprised that there's this many people here talking about student data privacy, honestly. It's not the sexiest subject. So how do we do it in a way that makes it appealing? How do we do it in a way that makes it interesting? We have to bring in real life, right? I think that's a big part of it, is bringing in real life. I just wanted to share a couple more resources here. If you're interested, all the way on the right is all those AI literacy lessons that I mentioned are hyperlinked there. There is a self-paced course that we have for free. It's about an hour long about AI foundations for educators, where you're kind of learning the same thing that before you teach those lessons. If you want to know how AI is trained, what it is, we have this whole self-paced course that that's available for free. And then I also have a link here to some content that we have about AI resources, including policy guide and all of that stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that that was in there. This is my email address, as well as a quick survey. If anybody wants to share feedback, you are welcome to talk to me directly and give feedback or ask me questions. I am here today and tomorrow, and I will chat with anybody. I'm happy to share whatever decks or slides or implementation ideas that I might have. I work with educators across the country, and this is my favorite thing to talk about. So I appreciate your feedback. If you want to do it anonymously or to my face, I'll take it all. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can email me, or also my profile is on the SCED with all of my social media handles that I actively engage in. So thank you all for listening, for being here, and for being part of this talk today. Thanks all. All right.
Superstition aims with imprecision. But when things can't be explained, superposition. In any universe, you are my dark star. I want you to want me. Why don't we rely on chemistry? Why don't we collide the spaces that divide us? I want you to want me. No matter what we do, I'll be there with you. I want you to want me. Why don't we rely on chemistry? Why don't we collide the spaces that divide us? I want you to want me.
Il y a rien qui m'arrête. Je suis libre, je suis prête à commencer ma fête. J'ai quitté ma cachette, formaté ma cassette comme les pensées qui m'empêchent. Dès maintenant, moi je suis satisfait. Il n'y a plus rien du tout qui m'inquiète. J'ai jeté toute la merde dans la mer. Dès maintenant, moi je suis satisfait. Il n'y a plus rien du tout qui m'inquiète. retrouver ta voix. Je ne suis plus une victime, c'est plus moi qui m'abîme. I rise up, I'm a queen. Got my self-discipline. I sit and do my shit with fun and love and grace. So yes. Dès maintenant, moi je suis satisfait. Il n'y a plus rien du tout qui m'inquiète. J'ai jeté toute la merde dans la mer. Dès maintenant, moi je suis satisfait. Il n'y a plus rien du tout qui m'inquiète. J'ai jeté toute la merde dans la mer. Pour trouver tes pouvoirs, je te dis c'est jamais trop tard. Pour retrouver ta voix, pour trouver tes pouvoirs, je te dis c'est jamais trop tard. Pour retrouver ta voix.
Hey baby, won't you look my way? I can be your new addiction. Hey baby, what you gotta say? All you're giving me is fiction. I'm a sorry sucker and this happens all the time. I find out that everybody talks, everybody talks, everybody talks. It started with a whisper, and that was when I kissed her. And then she made my lips hurt. I could hear the chit chat. Take me to your love shack. Mama's always got a backtrack when everybody talks back. Hey honey, you could be my drug. You could be my new prescription. Too much could be an overdose. All this trash talk make me itchy. Oh my shit. Everybody talks, everybody talks, everybody talks too much. It started with a whisper, and that was when I kissed her. And then she made my lips hurt. I could hear the chit chat. Take me to your love shack. Mama's always got a backtrack when everybody talks back. Never thought I'd live to see the day when everybody's words got in the way. Hey sugar, show me all your love. All you're giving me is friction. Hey sugar, what you gotta say? It started with